Welcome to Adjusting to Six Figures. Two best friends that turn their lives around, professionally and personally. So if you're looking to change, we tell it like it is, with no bullshit. Shut up with the excuses and make something of your life. Let's do this. This is Adjusting to Six Figures. And here are your hosts, Jeremy Rettig and Chris Stanley.
Welcome, everybody. This is episode 2 of the Adjusting to Six Figures podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Jeremy Rettig. I'm joined by my best friend, my buddy, my confidant, Chris Stanley. What's happening, Chris? How you doing today, man?
Heyo! I am doing fantastic, Jeremy Rettig. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. All right, guys, episode 2, and as always, I'm gonna drop it right here. This episode is brought to you by Adjusting University. Adjusting University. What is that? Just University is my company where I help people become better claims adjusters. And pretty soon we're going to be helping people become claims adjusters. So this podcast isn't about claims adjusting. We talked about that the last one. It's about other stuff. But if you're sitting around on your ass and you hate your job, go check out Adjusting University. All right. Learn to become learn to do what we do for a living. And we're going to get into that on this episode a little bit.
Buy some shit.
Yeah, buy some stuff, man. It'd be great. Help support the cause, help support, what we're doing right here, helps put food on my table, and I'll help you put your food on your table. If you're not doing well, we could actually, Adjusting University, learn to become a freelance insurance adjuster. You could do better for yourself. So go over there, check it out. It's pretty cool. This is a very informal endorsement. We don't have any other endorsers on the podcast,
except for one. We do have one. Yeah, and that, my friends, is Bones Coffee.
Oh,
Bones Coffee is the newest sponsor for the Adjusting to Six Figures podcast. Are you tired? Are you very, very low energy? Do you need some pep in your step? Then go buy some Bones Coffee. They don't sponsor us. I just love this coffee so goddamn much.
That is good coffee, man. They've got good. If you like to buy things based on a cool label, Bones Coffee. That's the way to go. All right, man. Let's kick this thing off. This episode, baby, is all about you, getting to know you, Chris. So you better get that vein pumping with some narcissistic juice. Because we're just talking about you. Nothing here matters except you, buddy. So
I'm trying to really show off everything, like all my good, all my wonderful, all of my also terrible. This is all about me. It's always about me, man. I'm a very important person. I don't know if you know that about me. I'm a very important man.
Well, I'll tell you what. You've got a really, really interesting and inspiring story. I mean, I've told you that.
Hold on. There was some sarcasm in what I said. There was a little bit of sarcasm. I want to call it out. A little bit of sarcasm.
A little bit. But no sarcasm here. I mean, you do legitimately have a very inspiring story, and especially when you think about where you were versus where you are now. So I guess, it'd be most appropriate if we kind of start out kind of where you are now. So just to kind of set the tone for the difference that we're going to be talking about here. So, what's a typical day for you like right now? Like, what did you do today? What are you going to do? What's that look like so the listeners can get an idea?
Okay, so a typical day, and let me just also call it out that we are recording this. I'm in LA, and you're in New Jersey. So for you, it's 9:24. For me, it's 6:24. And today, what I did was I woke up at 4, took my 2 wonderful asshole husky dogs on a 2-mile walk, showered, made some coffee, set this whole thing up, and now we're recording this podcast. The rest of my day, once we're done here, I'm going to get a workout in. I'm going to go get more coffee from Starbucks because I am a coffee snob. The rest of my day is going to be catching up on supplement requests for a bunch of public adjusters who, they just want to make sure their client is made whole. No funny business. They just want to make sure the client's whole. I get it. I'm going to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner all vegetables and lean protein. I'm going to hang out with my girlfriend. And it's going to be a pretty chill day. Right now, as we're recording this, I just got back from a deployment in Chicago about a week ago. And I will be going back in about another week.
For the listeners that don't know, just to kind of set them straight, you mentioned public adjusters and you mentioned deployments. For those that don't know, what do you mean by that? What is a public adjuster? How does that relate to what you do for a living? And what do you mean by deployment?
Sure. So what I do for a living is what Jeremy does. I'm an independent adjuster. I am hired through a claims company to adjust claims for an insurance company. And then you have a public adjuster who is hired by the actual insured, and they are there to make sure that the insured gets the most fulfillment out of their claim possible. So when I write an estimate and I send it out, the public adjuster will look at it, and inevitably, most of the time, will go, hey, you're missing a lot of stuff. What I need to do is I need to make sure, per the policy guidelines, that we're all up to snuff for everyone. And policy guidelines has to do with the insurance company and what they pay for and what they don't. A deployment is when a company sends you out to a area that is not your own, and you adjust claims there. I was in Chicago for a little bit less than 3 months working hail claims. First, it was for ice and water dam, and then it turned into hail pretty quickly. And so I just got back from a deployment, and I'll be going back eventually. I already got the call. These last 2 weeks have been celebratory for me and my special lady, my lady friend. So that's what we're doing here. That's a Big Lebowski reference, by the way, Jeremy. I thought you'd like it.
So all right. So just to kind of paint the picture here. So you get up at 4:00, which that by itself, who does that? You get up at 4:00. You've got a couple dogs.
Every morning, baby. Every morning, 4 a.m. Beat the sun.
Beating the sun up, 4 a.m., getting out, walking the dogs, doing a podcast. Then you're going to get back to work. You're independent claims adjuster. You're dealing with public adjusters, going back and forth, button heads, doing all that. And you got a girlfriend. So you're doing that. I mean, what do you do? What are you going to be doing tonight? I mean, it's, midweek. Are you going out? What are you doing? What's your nights?
No, tonight my night looks like me and my girlfriend Lizzie. I'll be referring to her by her name from here on out. Me and Lizzie are going to take dogs out on another long fucking walk. We usually do like a 2 or 3 mile walk every night. We go to our favorite vegan.
2 or 3 miles.
Yeah. Yesterday we did 6. You
did 6 miles, and what'd you say? You went to a vegan restaurant? Okay.
No. They're closed on Tuesdays. It's a vegan 7-Eleven here in Los Angeles. It's a vegan 7-Eleven. They're also our newest sponsor. They're called Bestie's Vegan Paradise. They're brand new. They're on Fountain. Go check them out. No. It's like a vegan 7-Eleven. They got like a bunch of like vegan snacks, vegan dog food. They have vegan ice cream. It's vegan. I'm not a vegan. My girlfriend's a vegan, which pretty much makes me vegan. That's a Pulp Fiction reference. If you're not up on it. Anyway, my night's gonna look like we're gonna go do that. We're gonna take the walk down to Bestie's, pick up some vegan snacks, pick up some dog stuff. Then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna do a couple meetings. I can't break anonymity, but we're gonna break anonymity in this episode anyway. I am in a couple 12-step programs. So when I get back home, I'll be doing my 12-step meetings from my phone, and then I'll be cooking a wonderful tofu and vegetable dinner. And I just got Lizzie into watching The Sopranos, so we're gonna probably hit episode 2 of season 1 tonight, and then I'll be tucked into bed by hopefully 9:30, and then I'll wake up tomorrow at 4 a.m. again to start it over. And I got a bunch of 12-step meetings in the morning, along with more claim stuff.
So I gotta, for obviously I know the story, but for the listeners' sake, so I gotta ask.
Hold on. For the listeners, in case we didn't make this clear, this is technically a 2-part episode. The first part is me, Christopher Stanley. Jeremy's going to be interviewing me. That's the point of this. So you, the listeners, can get to know us, and why the fuck you should be listening to us and our personal stories. So this episode is about me. Like I said, I'm very vain. The next episode, it's going to be just the reverse, me talking to Jeremy, asking him questions. So just so everyone's aware, I just want to make that clear.
Right. So when I asked you about what your nightlife was like, so just to kind of put a bow on it, so you walk upwards of 6 miles, walk the dog. I mean, that's 6 miles, even 1 mile. I mean, that is an extended walk by the average. I don't want to say normal, but the average person's circumstances. 1 mile is a bit long. 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6 miles, that is long. And then you go occasionally to a vegan 7-Eleven. That's a whole different discussion there. But you're at a vegan 7-Eleven. You're going to cook a vegan meal, not because you're vegan, but your girlfriend's vegan. And you're going to be hanging out at night watching Sopranos.
Yeah.
But you mentioned meetings, 12-step program meetings. Why on earth? You explained your day like that in a very, very genuine way. It doesn't seem like you need a 12-step program at all. What is the point of a 12-step program? When are you addicted to vegan food? What's the point? Why are you in a 12-step program?
I mean, what's funny is that you make the joke, but technically I do have a problem with their tofu sticks. They are no longer on my meal plan. So to kind of just put it into perspective here, less than 2 years ago, I was very badly addicted to cocaine and other drugs, but mainly cocaine was my issue. And I weighed roughly 550 pounds. And that was my life. I was a food addict. I was a drug addict. I was in bad shape. I was a walking, ticking time bomb ready to explode out of my skin and also my heart. Just in general, I was going to die. I'm not sure if I'm going out of order here, but in 2019, I was hospitalized 11 times for cellulitis of the leg. Which, if you don't know, is when your leg gets infected and it's just in your leg, and your leg swells up like a fucking balloon. And I almost died, legitimately. It sounds very exaggerated and hyperbolic, but I almost died from that. It got so bad, and it was a mixture of the drugs with food I was eating. Because I was 550, and the second I would get any type of scratch on my leg or my foot, infection almost immediately. And that was accompanied with fevers, chills, just nausea. It was bad. It was rough. It got so bad I had to be sent home with an IV, a portable IV in my arm, and that was in my arm for 3 weeks, and I had to inject antibiotics just straight because the pill form just wasn't working. I was in a very bad place, and we can get Jeremy, you can probe more questions and more answers out of this, but it all kind of culminated in October of 2019 when I was going to kill myself. I had a whole plan to commit suicide, but I couldn't afford the way I wanted to commit suicide because I couldn't stop buying cocaine. I just couldn't stop buying drugs to afford the way I wanted to go out, and I wanted to go out in a as painless of a way as possible. I couldn't afford it, and every day it was the same type of insanity of I'm gonna stop doing this, and then I would find myself at a house in the hills of Sherman Oaks, California, giving a man who did not need any more money all of my money. And then one night, one morning, when I didn't wake up because I was just up all night. I had convulsions, I was shaking in my bed. I didn't know, this is not the type of story where I'm going to be I knew I had to change my life. I just knew I was done. I just knew I was done with whatever the fuck I was doing. And a friend of mine, I guess, had seen that I was, in a way, told me, one time, hey, if you ever need help, you should go to this meeting. I went to a meeting and I got help. I got help pretty quick. I went to it was a 12-step meeting for drugs and alcohol. Went there, got sober really fast. Kind of like got hit with sobriety. I've been sober since. Started working these 12 steps, got sober from drugs and alcohol, and that was really good. Very quickly, I realized that the way that I was using drugs and alcohol is the way I was using food, which to anyone would have been fucking obvious, right? Like, no one weighs 500 pounds if they're not, abusing food as a substance in general. People abuse food who weigh 250 pounds, but I'm walking around with an extra 3, so clearly I had an issue. Didn't realize it, but I started, through working the steps of getting sober from drugs and alcohol. I realized, like, oh fuck, I'm using food to escape my problems. I'm using food to numb out my feelings. I'm using food as like this power to make me feel better. And I was very hesitant to go to any meetings that were based around food addiction because I kind of thought they were all for like old women who like had like problems with sugar, And me, I'm just a compulsive overeater, man. Doesn't matter. Fucking broccoli, fucking cabbage, it doesn't matter. I'm going to eat every fucking piece of it until I can't move, and then I'm going to eat more. This is kind of a cool story. I went to a comedy show, saw this girl on stage, and she was performing. She was talking about sobriety. I walked up to her, and I was like, hey, I'm also sober. And my intent was to absolutely try to hook up with her. But she, and this is not my girlfriend, by the way. She's at the gym right now. Thank God. Anyway, my intent was to hook up with this girl. I mentioned I'm sober as if that's like a flex of some type. And she's like, oh, well, I'm not sober, drugs and alcohol. Yeah, right? I'm not sober, drugs and alcohol. I'm sober with food. No. She said she's sober with something else. I was like, oh, like, what is it? And then she was like, I don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, okay. And then she goes, fuck it. She's like, I'm in a 12-step program for food addiction. And I almost started crying. Like I just almost started like I got very emotional, and I was like, hey, like, I need help. I was like, what, like can you help me? And then which is not very attractive, by the way. It's not a very attractive trait. Anyway, she told me to go to this meeting the next day. I went, and I got struck with sobriety that day for food. Started doing a meal plan. I started identifying this type of idea. It's called alcoholic foods. And it's this idea of like, what foods, instead of satiating me, just make me more hungry. And those foods for me personally are foods that like have a lot of like processed sugar, white flour, rice, potatoes, delicious food. Yes, I cannot stop eating delicious food. All the foods that everyone says like, hey, like all the foods like we all kind of know we got to like eat sparingly or avoid, For me, I got to avoid that shit. Anyway, beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic hits, I find this 12-step program for overeating, and I should say that I had done some weight loss on my own, and I wasn't successful, but I had dropped from 550 to about 320 within like a few years. Like I was able to keep that off, and like Jeremy, you know me, like my weight has fluctuated a lot, but it never got under 350. The best I ever did was 320. That was my sweet spot. I was like 320. I look like a model. I'm fucking killing it, right?
Well, that's a huge difference from where you're at. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, I'm a 189. That's where I float now between 185 and 195. Yeah, I'm my range based off of a doctor's opinion, and I got a lot of loose skin, which is a whole other conversation. But and I'm 6'1". But my weight right now fluctuates between 185, 195. I was wearing 6X shirts with 62-inch jeans. Now I'm in a 36-inch jean, and I'm wearing large shirts. I'm very proud of that, and it's very egotistical.
But that's 300 pounds. You lost just over, if you were 550, then you lost just over 300 pounds from then until now?
Wrong. 360, 365.
Wow.
I've lost 365 pounds. All in all. If we're adding up the amount of like fluctuations I've done, it's insane. But anyway, I got into this overeating program around 380 because I got down to like 320, and then I got hospitalized all those times. And, I stopped going to the gym, all that shit. And that's how I did the weight loss anyway, which even getting down to like 320, all I did was I would still binge and compulsively overeat, but I would restrict, like for one day I wouldn't eat anything. And I would go to the gym and I'd work out really hard. And then I would also do a bunch of cocaine. And then the next day I would just eat like my thing was to eat like $40 to $50 worth of Taco Bell in a shot. Get like about 4 or 5 full bags, eat all that, and then pass out, wake up, go to the gym.
And that's not and is there any exaggeration behind that, or is that legitimately you would eat?
No, there's no exaggeration. There's no, I want to make it very clear. There is no exaggeration behind that whatsoever. What I would normally do, and we're kind of all over the place. I am. So, at any point, man, stop me and fucking, rein this in. But to give you an idea on what a normal day of eating was, or what a normal day in general was I would wake up, and at this point, we talked about this a little bit on the first episode, or maybe we didn't, but 2015, 2016, 2017, I was doing adjusting, right? And I made a very good amount of money. All that went away. And then around 2018, 2019, I find myself in Los Angeles, and I'm driving Uber. And what I would do is I'd wake up at around 10, 11 o'clock. I would get in my car and I'd put on the Uber app. And while I was waiting for a ride, I had a ritual. I would drive to the Jack in the Box that was down the road from my house. And I would get 2 double cheeseburgers, like the big ones, 2 large fries, and a large soda. And before I even ate that, I would drive then to Taco Bell and I would get 10 burritos. I would get 4 cheese quesadillas without the jalapeno sauce. And then I would get 10 of the cheesy roll-ups. And I would eat that. I would eat all of that within a matter of minutes. Just a matter of minutes, that would be gone. Then I would drive around a little bit, make a little bit of money, stop at a McDonald's, stop at a Burger King. You name it, it was in the car, I was eating it. Then at night, I would go and buy a large amount of cocaine, and that would be the night. So my top weight was 550 pounds. I get down to 320. I start getting hospitalized. I jump up to 380 within a matter of a month. Not even, maybe 2 months. It was very quick that I jumped up to 380. It was in the blink of an eye. And so I entered this program. This is how we're getting back to it. I entered this program at 380 pounds. And within a year, I've lost roughly 200 pounds working this program, which is a 12-step program. I have my food plan, which is I send pictures of my food every day to Jeremy. Jeremy sees the food I eat. It's the same shit. This morning, I'm going to make some egg whites with some spinach and a baked apple. Lunch is going to be a salad, a big fucking salad with either tuna or chopped chicken. And then at nighttime, it's going to be a big fucking plate of tofu or some type of lean protein with a massive amount of sauteed vegetables.
When you were at the, kind of your worst mental state, right? When you were doing that, which is crazy to put yourself in that mind state where you're going to go to a fast food place, not once, but even twice in a single day. At least me personally, that by itself is foreign to me. I mean, today I rarely will ever go to a fast food place. If I do, I've got my kids in the back seat, but to go there 2 times in one day, it's probably because they forgot something in the bag. Those are 1,000 calorie, 1,500 calorie trips right there, each individual one. I mean, that, and absent of the Coke use, I mean, that's an extremely unhealthy lifestyle. And you add the Coke on there. I mean, you're swinging for the, cardiac arrest fences.
Yeah.
How long were you, I guess at one point, how long were you overweight like that? Did you have that bad eating? Were you doing drugs? How long was that going on for you?
I mean, I've been fat my entire life. Like, there's never been like I got this last year. I've dropped a lot. I've dropped a significant amount of weight. I'm able to walk and fit into fucking the seats of a plane with no problem. I'm able to take the middle seat and be comfortable, except for if I'm flying Spirit, and the padding on the seats is just doesn't matter. Yeah, no one's comfortable, right? The pilot's fucking upset, but no, my entire life. I mean, I've had to explain this to a couple people because, like, I don't think that people get it. But like and Jeremy, you've known me. We've known each other since like 14, 15 years old, like around that. Am I right on that or no? Yeah, so like 14, 15. Like I've been the fat guy my entire life. Jeremy's nickname we talked about in the first episode was Germ, right? Really swinging for the fences on, credibility wise. My nickname was Jelly, just to give you an idea. But my entire life, I was fat. And it was, and look, I don't blame anyone. This isn't like an excuse, podcast where I'm like, my parents were shitty. My parents weren't great, but they weren't awful. But they had terrible eating habits too. Like you just said, it's foreign to you to go to a fast food spot like that. It's not, it wasn't, and it's still not a foreign idea to me to go to a fast food spot 2 or 3 times a day. In the way that I was eating, that's insane. And I was eating like that for years. I would say for, a very long time. But I grew up on fast food. Like my parents, like they weren't cooking a lot. So we would go, like in the morning, we go to Burger King for breakfast. Then lunch would be McDonald's. And then we'd order pizza at night. And that was like a normal childhood diet. And my mom would cook sometimes for sure, but most of the time, or at least 3 to 4 times a week, that was my diet. So fast food going there was always just normal. And then drug use wise, I started smoking weed when I was 13, started getting into like other types of drugs. But I would say the coke use was a consistent, hard, like addict type of lifestyle for, I would say, 12 to 13 years. It started getting real. With the coke use, it started getting real heavy around 1920. That's when I started like doing it like consistently a lot. And then it amped the fuck up the second I started doing adjusting. Because before adjusting, I did not have a lot of money. I was one of those people happy to be working, man. My only goal was to not be homeless. And I want to give the old me a shout out. I was a functioning addict. I was homeless a couple times, but I was never on the street. Like I was always a pretty nice guy, so I had friends like crash on the couch with. But I always had a job. Always had a job. I was never not working. I think the only time I wasn't working was when I was in school. I went to college for a little bit. Didn't graduate. I don't have any degrees. But I went to college a little bit. At the time, I was George Bush was president. And he made it so we were allowed to go to school and collect unemployment. So that's what I was doing. But aside from that, I always had a job. But my jobs were never anything good. Hourly wage, bottom of the barrel, given the least amount of effort I could, whatever I could to skate by and just get a paycheck. And that paycheck went directly to drugs. But that paycheck was never a lot. So I never had a lot of drugs. Then this fucking idiot over here, Jeremy Reddick, decides to introduce the 500-pound cocaine addict to a job that could just give you a lot of money if you work a little hard. And drug use skyrocketed, man. There's a phrase that you use when you take a first bump of cocaine. It's called blast off. Blast off indeed did my drug use the second I started making a little bit of money. It got rough, man. So I would say, yeah, so like unhealthy eating habits, like if you look at a timeline, this body, this what you're seeing here, this whole fucking person right now has been around for 2 minutes. Very new. And the rest of my life, it's a fucking it's a horror show if we're talking about health in any way, shape, or form. Mental, physical, emotional.
So you mentioned before that, once things really started to kind of come together, while you're on your bed and, you started thinking about committing suicide. Um, how long is that the first time you had that thought? Because I remember when we were young, when we first started hanging out, we would be the house you lived in at that time. There was a back room and we'd all hang out. We're probably 13, I don't know, 14, 15, whatever the age was. We'd all hang out in this back room, and that room was the first time I ever did crack. We were smoking crack for a short while. But that was just one of the many things that we did in that room. And it was, we're young teenagers, we're having a good time, we're telling stupid jokes and all that. So like when you look at that on the surface of it, if you just drop the camera in there, you would think that, well, these are just a bunch of kids that are making irresponsible decisions but overall having a good time. What was there anything that was going on with you behind the scenes that a spectator might not have seen? I mean, was this these thoughts of suicide, I mean, were they as far back as that? Were you running from something at that time?
I don't I don't believe that the suicide thoughts were there at that time. I wasn't happy. I fucking hated myself, because eh, I could barely move. I could barely move. My home life wasn't the worst. Like I wasn't like beaten or anything, but like I didn't really have like a fantastic life, and that is no one's fault, I think, but my own. Maybe a little bit on like no guidance, no like I didn't really have like any positive role models to show me like, hey, this is what you should be doing. I kind of just did whatever the fuck I wanted, so give a 500-pound teenager free reign of his life, there's not going to be good decisions made. There's not going to be a good laying of positivity and good mental health habits that this person's going to go down. So no, the suicide. I mean, suicide was definitely like a thought at some times, but I think I was just running away from myself, man. Like running away from the decisions I made, running away from the unhappiness, the insecurity I had. Life is hard in general. Life sucks at a lot of points, right? Life is great, don't get me wrong, especially now, man. I have such a different disposition on life. Like I just texted my girlfriend this morning, and we send each other like positive messages all day and shit. But one of them, like the one this morning, I was like, I'm so proud of us how fucking disciplined we are, because we are fucking up at like 4 a.m. We're working out, we're taking care of dogs, we're getting our day started before most people wake the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? So like I fucking love life. I'm happy. But that does not mean that life doesn't suck sometimes. My dogs are assholes. I got to deal with people at work who are dicks. Blah 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 blah. My point is that for most people who don't have an extra 300 pounds and an extra 8-ball a day cocaine habit, life isn't that fucking fantastic. Adding that on, the idea of going out, like just leaving the house, was impossible. And you can attest this. I did it. We went out all the fucking time. We went everywhere together. I wasn't going to let it stop me per se, but I was never fucking happy about it. Dude, people would yell at me from cars like, you fat fuck. That's not an exaggeration. That happened on more than 5 occasions I could think off the top of my head right now. Then adding on that I couldn't go anywhere without being high, without being drunk, because I needed to drown out all those voices in my head of like, yo, you're a piece of shit. Yo, everyone's staring at you. No one likes you. You're making this group activity suck because you can't move. You can't sit in this fucking booth right here. You can't sit in that chair. It's made of plastic. So now you got to stand all the fuck. The insanity in my head was insane. That sucked. But the suicidal thoughts didn't really start hitting until 2019. That was when it started going. And I think it was like a mixture of like, I had left everything I knew in New Jersey. I left everyone I knew. I was out in LA by myself. I've made about like 3 actual friends out here. Everyone else I met was a drug friend who I took advantage of, or they took advantage of me. Or it was some people in the comedy world who were just fucking assholes. And I had at the time I had fucked I fucked you over. I fucked a lot of people over back in New Jersey financially and just like helping out wise. I wasn't a good person. I had done a lot of like fucked up things, and then my body started breaking down.
What do you think was fueling that? Was it
Fueling what exactly?
was your overeating being fueled by your drug use, or was the drug use being fueled by the eating? What do you think the core of it was?
I think I have to answer that in two ways. One, I think it's a little bit of the chicken versus the egg situation, because I don't fucking know. Well, I think I do know. I think the core problem I have is food addiction. I think if we were to boil it down, that is what my main problem is. And I will answer that with another elongated answer. When I got sober from drugs and alcohol in October of 2019, it sucked for about 3 months. And by sucked, meaning like I always wanted to use again. I mean, you don't really go through a lot of like withdrawals. Cocaine's not like heroin. But like mentally, there was the withdrawal. Like mentally, there was like the no more just going immediately to cocaine. No more just going immediately to weed, right? No more just going immediately to booze. So the mental aspect was pretty rough. But I can honestly say the second that mental obsession kind of left, I have not wanted to or had a craving for drugs and alcohol in over a year. I've been in circumstances where there's people who are using drugs, people who are drinking, and there is not one part of me that goes, oh, I want to do that, right? Like, and that's legitimate. That is legitimate. Like, I'm not lying. You don't have to believe me. I don't give a shit. I just know that I've been at a lot of events where people are getting wasted, and all I do is look at it and I go, oof, that's going to suck for you tomorrow morning, my friend. I wish I could just control myself. Like I do wish that. I wish it was as easy as that. I wish it was as easy as I can control myself and I can do this, but I can't. So I stay away from it. And that obsession, fucking gone. However, food every day is an issue. Every day. In fact, this is going to be convoluted because it's hard to explain, but like I recently relapsed on my food addiction program. I didn't start eating flour and sugar again, but I was lying about in my food program. I have a very strict food plan where like I commit to foods that I'm going to eat throughout the day to another person. And I was lying about it. I didn't gain any weight.
For the listeners, what do you mean by a food plan? Like a diet?
It's not a diet. It's not based off of health. It is the food plan is I don't eat certain foods, and then the quantities. Like I'm in a fellowship of individuals who believe that having a food plan will stop or arrest the urge to go out and binge or compulsively eat. And it's true. It does work if you're fully honest. And for the last 2 months, I wasn't being honest. So my food plan, every morning I wake up, this is part of my morning, I should have said this. I wake up and I email a person an entire, like my whole breakdown of food that I'm going to eat during the day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks, right? And I commit to that. And for the last 2 months, it wasn't every day. It wasn't like every day I was like stuffing my face. I wasn't even really stuffing my face. I did that twice. I did it. I had a legitimate binge three times, not twice. 3 times I had a legitimate binge. Every other day was a clean eating day for me. Whatever I committed to this person, I did. But I had a relapse, and it's fucking hard, man. It's hard. Like for me, food is a fucking problem. I have a commitment to not binge eat. One night I ate an entire tub of powdered peanut butter. Like an entire big fucking tub that has like 157 servings. I ate an entire tub of that. The most recently, what kind of made me like confess and out myself to my sponsor, I ate like technically, not technically, I eat 5 times a day, right? There's no question about that. I eat 5 times a day, and I have a million cups of coffee, but I only eat 5 times a day. That's it. And I ate 8 times. I ate 8 times in one day. Now, to someone that might not sound like, I can make a lot of excuses and like, explain, well, I was on the road. I was on the road. I was driving. I was bored. I was hungry. I was stressed. I was hot. It's so hot in Las Vegas, right? Like there's all these things I have a million excuses. But the real thing is that like I wasn't fully honest with myself a couple weeks before that, maybe 2 months before that. And then slowly but surely, I started picking food back up to numb myself out from my feelings, And the way that I realized that I was relapsing was I ate 3 extra snacks, and it was, it started out with like, oh, I'm gonna have this snack now, and I'll eat this other snack later. And I'm sure to some listeners this sounds very convoluted and silly, but the program that the food plan that I am on has helped me not binge or compulsively overeat for almost a year and a half. And it's completely changed my life, my way of thinking, the way I interact with other people. So I take this very seriously. To me, my food addiction is a life or death situation. I can't fuck with this. I can't fuck around and like, I can't eat fucking cake. I can't say like, oh, today is my girlfriend's birthday. I'm going to eat a lot as a celebration. I can't do that. There's no more food. There's no less food. There's just my fucking food plan that I have talked about with another person. All food and food quantities have been discussed with somebody else. Now some meals, right? Like the other night was my girlfriend's birthday, so we went out to a steakhouse. I don't eat steak every fucking night, right? Like I don't eat like a big steak dinner. That night I had a steak dinner for sure, right? But that food that I had before I got to the area where the steakhouse was in, I had to look up the menu, and I had to pick out what I was going to eat, and then send that to another person, like commit to it, say, hey, I'm going to eat this. Then I had to take a picture of it before I ate to send it to the person to prove, hey, this is what I'm doing, right? Like I'm eating this, Now that meal was a steak, Oscar style with cream spinach, right? Now, obviously, that's not a meal I'm going to eat every goddamn day. That is not a normal night of eating. So I do have flexibility in regards to like, yeah, I'm gonna have a fucking steak tonight, buddy. That's what I'm gonna do. But I'm not gonna like in a week it'll be 18 months. For 18 months, I have not touched flour or sugar or any starch. And that's one commitment I did keep, and I'm very proud of myself for that because I do believe in this idea, and this is directly with this food program that I'm in, that those foods give me the same reaction that an alcoholic gets when they take a drink of alcohol. And by reaction, I mean they can't stop. They just can't stop eating it. And that's my everything I listed to you about 40 minutes ago in regards to the food that I was eating. Taco Bell, Jack in the Box, yeah, all that shit was bread, processed sugar, all that shit, right? I couldn't stop. I could never be full. Delicious. I never got satiated, So anyway, my food plan, I relapsed on it. So I would say my core issue, 100%, is my food addiction. Why is that? I don't fucking know. Why was it that 18 months ago I was able to like admit it and like actually like take direction from somebody? I don't know, man. That is a power outside of myself that I've never been able to access. You've known me since I was 14, 15 years old, man. I have never been able. I've been on diets my whole life. I've been trying to lose weight my whole life. Never worked. Getting honest with myself and working with another person.
Do you think it had something to do with being adopted?
No, I am adopted. No, I don't think it had anything to do with being adopted, man. My parents were very open about me being adopted for a while, like since I was like old enough to understand. They were very much adoption was never a sense of shame for me at all. That was never an issue. That was never a problem. Yeah, I don't think so. I honestly don't know what it is.
Well, let me ask you this: you've had what we really didn't expand on too much here. So when you started to clean up the food, I mean, what were you thinking about when you knew you had to make a change? Did you go and get surgery?
No, God, no. I'm not against surgery. I had looked into it. We had gone to a weight loss surgeon, you and me together.
And by surgery, just for the listeners, by surgery I mean gastric bypass, that sort of getting a sleeve. You didn't get the surgery. Do you discredit people that do get the surgery? What's your opinion? Do you think that's necessary? Because you know that there's a inherent risk involved just getting that surgery by itself. So you're trying to save your life by risking your life in a way. What do you think about that?
I don't discredit anyone who gets the surgery, right? Like that's your choice. It's your decision. Your doctor was probably like, hey, you need medical intervention. Because it's I've looked into the surgery. It's hard to get. And by hard to get, I mean, you got to like follow and meet a lot of different criteria. You know, mentally, physically, financially, your insurance company has to sign. There's a lot to it. So I don't discredit anyone who gets it. I didn't get it because there's a huge statistical possibility that even if you get the surgery, you're going to put the weight back on. Your stomach is like a balloon. Even if you cut it into like a tiny little golf ball, it can still expand bigger, right? In my opinion, for people who weigh over 350 pounds, the food is not your problem. It is your problem, but it's not your real problem.
That's not the core problem. Just like you were.
The food itself is not my problem, right? I get a relief from the food. The food is my solution, right? I get my problems go away when I overeat, when I'm eating shit. I have a spiritual and a mental disorder that is how that goes. So I think that if you're using the surgery, and I was going to do this, and I wanted to do this, if you're using the surgery as a way to fix your weight, don't fucking do it. It's not going to help you. It's going to help for a little bit for sure. You know, it's going to make things a lot better for very quickly. And then you're going to find yourself having a problem with your job, having a problem with your wife, your husband, your kids, your dog, your fucking bills. You're going to eat.
You make a good point. And correct me on this, but if you weigh 350, maybe a little bit less, then yeah, your eating is a mild problem but might be a bit more controllable with surgery if you decided that that's what you want to do. But if you're exceeding that amount, the eating is a problem. But just like you said, the eating for you was a solution to the problem. You ate not to get satiated. You ate to feel relief. You ate to feel that stimulation that we all get when we eat. But you wanted that. You were addicted to that stimulation because when that stimulation wasn't there, just like cocaine, just like heroin, everything else, you had something else going on in you that brought pain to your life. And you wanted to avoid that pain. And what you found was things like cheeseburgers and Coke that took you away from that pain temporarily. And you didn't want temporarily. You wanted all the time to stay away from that. And if you get surgery, I mean, like you said, the biggest threat to getting that surgery is disregarding the instruction not to eat. You could still, just because you got surgery in your stomach doesn't mean it's impossible for you to put food down your gullet, right? So you started to clean up. I'm sure that you've come across at least a few people that want to know how you managed to do that, what the secret is, what diet you were on, what pills you were taking. what easy solution did you do that you can share with everybody else? I mean, what did you do? What was an average day after you finally said no more drugs, no more Jack in the Box? I'm being committed. I have the plan. What was a typical day for you like?
So this answer is going to be, I'm going to have to walk a very careful line here on this answer, because this does have to do with a program that I'm not allowed to break anonymity. In regards to practical application of, let's say, my day and my food, a typical day before, because and I think we'll get into this in a little bit, but there was a large break in between me getting back into adjusting, which is a great story in itself, which I hope we get to. So I clean up, I get myself an office job. I'm still working like Uber and Postmates and stuff like that. My day-to-day life versus like between being a drug addicted food addict versus not was almost the same. There was no difference in day-to-day activity and like how I had to support myself. But in regards to the food, I started working this program, and part of working that program was reading a book every morning and meditating and praying. Now, that sounds silly. That sounds, to some people it doesn't sound silly. To some people, they're going to go, oh, fucking here we go with the spirituality, God bullshit. It's not what I'm doing. It's not where I'm going with it. That's just part of what works for me, right? But practical application, what worked for me was I prepped all of my food. All of my food I prepped out to a T. I didn't so much calorie count. I didn't really have to calorie count because after all the diets I've done in my life, I could tell you the calories on every fucking piece of food off the top of my head. You name the food, I know how many calories are in it per serving. So I didn't really have to do a calorie count. What I started doing was just taking the direction of another person off of what the quantity should be, like what they thought was reasonable, and I have a rule. I don't weigh and measure. What I do is if it fits on one plate, then that's my food. That's my only rule. My only rule is I have one plate of food. That steak dinner I mentioned before, I had to ask the waiter, and he definitely looked at me like I was a fucking idiot. But I asked the waiter, I was like, hey, I need you to do me a favor, and I want you to put the cream spinach on the same plate as the steak. And he looked at me and he was like,
because it's a la carte.
Yep, because it's a la carte. And he's like, why? And I was like, it's a long story. I was like, I just need you. And I told him, I was like, I'll put it on the plate myself. I don't really care. I'm just kind of hoping you can do it. But if it's an issue, no problem. I'll just do it myself. And he's like, no, I think we could do it. I'll ask.
Thanks.
Yeah. I know. Guy was really nice. But it's a weird.
It's a strange request.
It's a weird question, because I asked him. I was like, hey man, just like also like it's a la carte. He opened up with, hey, just letting you know these sides for your steak, they're shareable. And the first thing I said was,
large sides.
First thing I said was, I was like, so I'm not going to share my side. I am eating that all by myself. And I was like, I need you to put on. Anyway, so I have a one plate rule. If it fits on one plate, that's what I do. And man, for me, the biggest thing was cutting out those alcoholic type of foods, like not eating bread,
trigger foods. Right? In other words, trigger foods, right?
Yeah. And I have not had the trigger of. And now I relapsed. So like clearly I've wanted to eat more. And like, I don't think, I could be wrong. I don't think me being hungry all the time is ever going to go away. Like you said, I wasn't eating to be satiated. I was eating for a feeling. When my girlfriend, like when I make us dinner and then she goes, "Ugh, I'm full." I legitimately don't know what that feels like. I do not know the feeling of full. I don't understand it. It's foreign to me. I'm never full. And I eat a lot of food to this day. Jeremy, you see the plates of food I eat. I'm not going hungry over here. But
yeah, they're full plates of food.
Yeah,
they're
to the edge.
Piled high.
To the edge with fucking food, but I changed up the type of food I was eating. That was my biggest thing. You know, instead of eating 10 to 12 burritos, I eat like a large pepper with a large onion and a large tomato and a fucking box of mushrooms with a box of tofu, and I cook it up and I season it properly. My biggest another thing I do, which I now love, is I learned how to cook. Learning how to cook was like the biggest tool that I was able to get doing this. So anyway, practical application. What started was I just prepped my food. I prepped all my meals. I have not eaten at a fast food restaurant since I started this. I have not eaten at a McDonald's, Jack in the Box, whatever. The only fast food, which I don't even call it fast food, that I eat occasionally is Chipotle or Panda Express, because I'm able to clearly say, hey, just give me the meat and the vegetables. Like, there's no bullshit. And I don't feel like I'm getting ripped off. But I haven't eaten in one of those. And I haven't eaten there because fast food restaurant, to me, that's a trigger in itself. Like, I've definitely gone into fast food spots just to take a piss. And walking in there, I'm like, I get fucking crazy.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. If you had, kind of think of like an elevator pitch, right? You only have the amount of time to get from the first floor to the 8th floor, right? If you had to give somebody that's in your shoes, that's in your old shoes, with an addiction, whether it's 2 addictions, 1 addiction, somebody who has lost control of something, what would you say to them in like an elevator pitch sort of format, an elevator advice? What would you say to that person to encourage them or to guide them into a better situation, a situation with more resemblance to your own now?
That is a hard question. That is a hard question. That it really is, and the reason why it's hard is that for me, as fast as all of this came about, there were so many small incremental steps that I had to take. There were small incremental changes that over time became habit forming, and over time changed not just my physical, but my mental and the way I view things. Instinctively, what I want to say is that my elevator pitch to anyone who is in my shoes is you are worth way more than what you think you are right now. That is like number one. One of the biggest like core issues for me was that I really felt like I was worthless and a piece of shit. Like I genuinely felt like I'm not worth anything. Like, who cares? Why even bother? Why even try? I have a bunch of elevator pitches. We need to take a long elevator. We need to go to the top of the Empire State. But I got a lot of advice. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I judge people a lot. I try not to, but I do. So when I see someone who's like in my old shoes, I always just want to go up to him and be like, dude, you can change. Like, you can do this. You can absolutely change. I truly believe that whatever I've gained and whatever I've done in the past 18 months, or like I've been sober from drugs and alcohol a little bit longer, almost 2 years there, but I truly believe that me walking into a meeting, me getting sober, me getting a food plan, yada yada, all the willingness to do that was not me, right? Like, I took the actions, I did the work, but all that other shit was not me, because I've tried all that shit so many times and it never worked. Like, it never did anything.
Right. Would you recommend somebody go see a 12-step program?
I would, but I would never tell anyone to do it. I've come across this so many times where people have asked me for help. I have told them exactly what I've done, right? Just what I did in this show. I told them exactly what I did, which was, well, I started going to this 12-step program. I started doing this. The look on their face of, oh, I'm not doing anything that this guy says. Like, this is bullshit. This is complete bullshit. Is immediate.
Right.
Is immediate.
Right.
So I don't ever want to, and I don't ever try to convince or even give the direction to people to go to a 12-step program, because it never, and buddy, we have friends of ours, not mafia, but friends of ours who have asked me, they've come and been like, dude, like, I need help. Only one of them has even gone to a meeting that I go to. Still doesn't work anything, right? It's just kind of going, and that's a great step in general, but
right.
No one has taken the advice or, not even advice, but the information that I've given. And I don't care. Their journey is their journey, whatever. But like, giving someone the advice to go to a 12-step program is almost like a spit in the face to them, I feel. That's how they take it. It's like,
right.
It's like, well, because what you're saying is that
they have a problem, right? You're putting it out there. They just want advice, and you're coming back by telling them that they have a problem.
Yeah.
And that's not what they want to hear.
Nope.
Not yet, at least.
No, they don't. Right? They don't want to hear that. And you're also at the same time, not just that they have a problem, but you have work to do. This isn't easy. This was not an overnight thing. This was not. Now, I got a lot of physical recovery working the 12 steps pretty fucking fast, right? Like, pretty quickly. And I'll tell you this, mentally and spiritually, I have so much more work to do. So much more. And that is hard in itself. And I got the results. Like, I got one, like, just a little bit. I got results, and I still don't want to do the work. Now imagine you're 400 or 500 pounds, and you come up to a guy who I look like now, and you're like, hey man, like what did you do? Oh, I went to a 12-step program.
I guess you could say, though, without saying that, which I 100% agree. I mean, it worked out great for you, but it has that quality to it where you have to, if you're the other person, you have to admit that you have a problem before you accept advice like that. Yep. And that's one of the toughest things a human can do, is admit that their thought process is flawed, that they're not perfect. So I guess maybe the better thing to say is, I guess what I would say on your behalf, and I think I've said this to you, if you have a problem, get help.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. That's my fucking advice, right? Like, if you have a problem, get help. Like, yeah.
Get help. If you have any other problem, think of it like something, you have an eating problem, right? Because you can't control your eating. It is taking control, and you can't control that. And I'm pretty sure I've used this. I've spoken about this with you. If your toilet's overflowing and you don't know shit about plumbing, hire a fucking plumber.
Yeah.
Don't sit there staring at it wondering, well, I should do something about this. Maybe I'll get to it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, I wonder how to fix this. I'm going to fix it starting next weekend. You don't do that shit because your toilet's overflowing and you got to take a shit. What are you going to do? You hire a plumber, hire a handyman. Doesn't fucking matter. You know you got to do something. You get somebody at the house and you fix that fucking problem. If you're getting sued, what are you going to do? Hire a fucking lawyer. You don't know how to file that paperwork. Hire somebody who does. And if you have an eating problem, if you have an addiction problem, and you're sitting around and you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I really want to lose weight, but I've tried every diet. I've tried every exercise routine. I did keto. I did paleo, and I'm still fucking fat. That's because you don't know how to fucking fix it. Find somebody who does and stick to that person.
Yeah. Someone.
Am I right?
Someone. Number one, you are 100% right. But it comes down to someone who is not you, and like, that's why I asked you the question before of like, have you ever tried to help someone who's asked you for help? Because they probably asked you for help because of their financial or career move, right? Which a lot of people are really open about being a fuck up with, right? Like a lot of like there's some people, take that shit to heart, and like they're very much like, hey, like they want to keep it closed off. But I don't know, man. Like I'm still kind of okay with saying, yeah, I suck with money. Like, yeah, I'm broke a lot. Like,
Yeah.
like I got like there's all this shit that it's like it's hard, like it's hard.
Right.
There's no shame attached to it. But
bro, you can't grow unless you admit your faults. Unless you have the fortitude to say, I'm not doing this right, or I don't know enough about this. Unless you get to the point where you're willing to admit that and willing to take advice, there's no physical way you can grow. If you think you're doing everything right, despite you knowing that you're failing, if you think you're doing something right and you can't take advice, you're not going to grow. It's just like being at the gym, right? You need to tear that muscle fiber. You can't tear that muscle fiber unless you pick up that weight. And you pick up that weight, it's going to fucking hurt at times.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough. And you're going to think to yourself, fuck, this isn't even that much. I can't even finish 10. I can't even finish a whole rep. You pick that up and you do it anyway, and you tear those muscle fibers, and that's the only way you're going to grow. If you don't know what you're doing wrong, then you need to find help, and you need to be willing to accept that help and to do whatever that person is doing. And that's a difference in, we spoke about it on the last episode, that adjusting to that six-figure lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to grow from 5 to 6 figures or 6 to 7 figures if everything you're doing, you are convinced is right. If you're convinced what you're doing is right, you are stuck where you are, and that's complacency. You're not going to grow. At best, you're going to stay right where you are. If that's a 5-figure lifestyle, you're staying there.
At best is like the very important part, is that at best, and trust me, that best, number one, sucks. And that best is going to be something that, like, once your best sucks, you're not going to work hard anymore. You're not going to try.
Right. Find somebody, and I said this in a Facebook comment, and I thought it was good. Somebody, to go back to adjusting, I want to talk about that with you.
Yeah.
But somebody had made a post in one of these Facebook groups, which I try not to, aside from, my own, I try not to post anything. I've got the Success Network Facebook group. Other Facebook groups, I'm in there, but I try not to post anything too much. I save the love from my own, right? I'm selfish. But somebody had posted something in there saying something like, hey, I'm new to the business. Like as far as like certifications, licenses, or something like that. What advice would you give, right? So then the peanut gallery chimes in, and everybody's throwing in their advice, and from all different angles. I mean, conflicting advice, everything was bad. And some of it wasn't even advice. Some of these people just talking about, themselves. So I just responded, take advice from people that are in positions that you want to be in.
Yep.
So if you're fighting food addiction, take advice from somebody who overcame food addiction. If you're fighting drug addiction, take advice from somebody who overcame that. You don't have to agree with it. You don't even have to, maybe think it works. But if what you're doing is failing, stick to it. If I met, and that's that lifestyle. If I met somebody today, right, that was, let's say, I have Adjust University. If somebody was here today and they just moved in next door and they said, yeah, I have an 8-figure online training company where we do this and that. And I had a couple beers with them, and, he or she told me about some of these strategies that they're doing that I don't understand, that I don't think they're fucking right. Guess what? That's an 8-figure company right there. We're best friends now. I'm going to pick up everything. If you give me advice, I'm going to try that shit out. I'm a sponge. I'm going to take everything I can from you. I don't give a shit if it makes me feel stupid, because I'm not going to feel stupid when I'm in that same position as that person. So you take advice from the people that you want. You take advice from the people in positions that you want to be in. If somebody was lucky enough to meet you and they were struggling with addiction, man, I mean, that is a blessing right there. And for somebody, it's hard for me to even swallow how somebody could even discredit you or even say, 12-step program. That's not for me. All right, well, go enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, dude, that is that's the exact response. I'm like,
Crazy.
okay, like have fun.
So tell me this. Tell me. So we touched on it in the last episode, right? You're kind of roller coaster. You're a professional roller coaster you had because
yeah.
And even in the towards the beginning of this podcast, you mentioned your coke use really skyrocketed after you got into the business. So just to kind of give, the listeners a bit more of a, background on the story. So, I'm doing independent adjusting, right? I get to this position where I'm doing really well with it and I'm making a lot of money personally. I'm making so much. I went from bartending, making 30 grand at best, some of which off the books or whatever I did, to doing claims. And in my first full year, I did like 150,000, right? Insane. Didn't save a penny of it. And the next year I did better. And it just kind of kept going up from there. So I quickly found myself in a spot where I was making more money than almost anybody in my family, right? So I was kind of like at the top of a hill by myself. There was nobody else there. And then I was thinking to myself, I had marketed myself so well that I could just start giving, if I had somebody else, somebody that I could train, if I just gave them the work that I couldn't take, they would do well. So then, eventually I got you.
Scraps. I'm here for the scraps.
So I got you, trained you, did all that. And like that, you started.
Wait a second. Can we please talk about really quick that you train two people? You train two people,
right?
And I'm only bringing this up because I really love how crazy the breakdown is. It is a mutual friend of ours, right? You train both of us, okay? Now you have me when you do this, which number one was a very gracious and like we talked about last episode. This was like opportunity of a lifetime for me and this other person. Like opportunity of a fucking lifetime. Like here you are with more work than you know what to do with, and you're like, hey, I'll train you. I know exactly what to do, right? And then you were talking to two guys, me being one of them, who hated our job, didn't want to work there anymore. We're kind of just like happy to be working, happy to be here.
Happy to be
working type of guys, right? And you have one of them who is a 550-pound cocaine addict, right? Who's about to turn into a worse cocaine addict. Like this person is about to really fucking go for it. Right. And the other guy is I'm sorry. I'm a 550-pound cocaine addict who works at a call center, right? Who can't move practically, who understands that a house has a door and has windows and this thing called a roof, right? And that's about it. And then you have this other dude who is a strapping, in shape guy, right? Who can climb a ladder and who works construction,
not getting on roofs, concrete worker,
knows his shit, right? The amount of research and knowledge and learning I had to do in this was absolutely ridiculous, right? This other guy actually knows what a joist is, like before he even gets into like what Xactimate is. Yeah. Now on paper, if you were to, break it down and like go, hey, I'm going to bet on one of these two individuals to have this job for more than 3 months, you would have been fucking stupid to even hedge your bets on it. Like even the idea of it would have just been like, you're fucking dumb. Anyway, I'm saying all that to say that you afford us this opportunity. This other guy, it just wasn't for him. It just didn't like, and I think that's an important.
It was a crash and burn.
I mean, and I think that has to do a lot with the job, because people don't know the stress that this job can bring. You know what I mean?
So yeah, and you're absolutely right. I trained both of you guys, and he definitely looked like he fit the script at that time to go along with it. Construction background, we're estimating for, damage inside of buildings. But, he dropped out, you stuck to it and you kept doing those claims. And then, so you, you went from, because again, I wanted to get somebody in there because I figured that if I could get somebody who I knew in the same business and they'd be doing well, I'd be doing well. We'd be like two powerhouses coming together. We have all this money. We could buy investment property and all these different things. So I started, meanwhile, I'm still trying to get a grip on managing my own, expenditures and whatnot. But I've got you in. Now you're finally you go from 0 to 60. Now you're making a ton of money. You've got this great opportunity. You've got a background just like mine. High school, you dropped out of high school. You've got addiction. You have all these things. You could fill up a piece of loose leaf paper on all these problems that you have. And now you're making, I don't want to say big money, but you're making six figures.
Yes. And for a guy who has no, I don't have kids. I don't have a house. I don't even, at this point, I did have a car payment. I had a car payment, rent, and phone. That was it. So for me, for a kid who I didn't grow up dirt poor, but I was lower middle class. Definitely, this is huge money.
Right. So you've gotten that, but like you said earlier, you still have an addiction, and now you fueled that addiction, and that's why I hate when people say, I hate the adage that money is the root of all evil. And personally, I think it's just a bullshit statement. Money is not the root of all evil. At that time, you had evil in you in the form of that addiction. And so that was already there. Money is not the root of all evil. Money just fuels and magnifies who you already are.
Absolutely.
If you don't donate, if you don't help other people, if you're not a support system for something else or for somebody else, and you only have $1,000 in your bank account, if you have $100,000, you could bet that you're still not going to help them, because it doesn't take a certain amount of money to help other people. It doesn't take a certain amount of money to be a good person. But if you are that person and you have a lot of money in your bank account, that's the type of person that's going to be picking up the tab, going to be sending people out, going to be helping out with tuition costs and everything like that. So now you have all these kind of demons inside of you, and now you're making a lot of money. So, like we spoke about in the last episode, you have the two conflicting six-figure aspects, right? You got the six-figure personality, you got the six-figure financial, right? So six-figure financial is there, but the personality is holding you down, right? And it's not sustainable. And that's what ultimately happened, right? So it went down. So what did getting sober, food and drug wise, what did that do for you to kind of pick yourself back up?
Getting sober in general, first off, gave me the mental clarity to realize that I had squandered such a great opportunity with insurance adjusting. Just squandered it completely. So getting sober gave me that clarity, but it also gave me the clarity of realizing that what I was doing for money and what my day-to-day life was looking like, I hated. I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't having fun. There was no, and by fun, I don't mean going to an amusement park roller coaster fun. I'm talking about engaging, mentally stimulating, figuring out what I can do, and being able to strive to be better. There's when you're working an hourly wage job, or even if you're working an Uber Lyft situation, there's a ceiling. You see that ceiling very quickly, and then that sucks. Most career paths, there's a path to get more. If you're a lawyer, and shit, man, not even a lawyer. If you're a plumber, there's a path to make a lot of money being a plumber. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna suck. You're gonna have to put in a lot of hours. But you can make your own business. You can do this, yada 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 yada. There's all these things you can do. But when you're working, you always talk about it, man. When you're living or working for someone else's dream, there's a ceiling, and you're gonna hit that really fucking quick. It's gonna happen. So anyway, getting sober pretty much afforded me the clarity and the realization that I needed to change. But mainly, and by change I mean like change like what I was doing financially and career wise. But mainly what getting so I think the biggest gift that I've gotten from sobriety is discipline. That's the biggest gift I've gotten, is being a disciplined person. Like, no matter what, I have a structure of my day that rarely goes that just doesn't get hit, right? Like, I have a structure. Like, if I'm not out on a insurance claims deployment, every morning I'm up with dogs. Then I make breakfast. Well, I'm sorry, I'm up with dogs. Then I work out. Then I make breakfast. Then I do this. Then I do that. Yada yada yada. So, having established a disciplined lifestyle, right? I wanted to get back into insurance adjusting at first when I got sober, but I kind of thought to myself, oh, well, that's never going to happen. I fucked that up. It's done. I'm not even going to bother,
How did you think you fucked up your work? Just to bring it back, like when you were in your bad state, what were you doing to damage your credibility?
When I was in the drugs and when I was in the food, I had burned it. In insurance adjusting, it is a small industry. It's big, but it's small in regards to you meeting and getting to know people and working with people. It's small, and it's very easy to burn a bridge. And when I was doing cocaine and when I was in the food, the amount of bridges, and maybe I didn't burn a lot, but I burned some pretty bad. I definitely set explosives around a couple bridges and blew that shit up. So I, in my head, was like, well, there's no coming back from that. I don't know enough. Anything I did learn, I probably forgot. A lot of just negative self-talk, a lot of excuses too on like, well, that's too hard. I'm not going to bother with that, Also, I had this fallacy that like, I need to do something that gives me meaning in life, which I have a very I have my own opinion on that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I had all these ideas of like, well, I'm never going to be able to do that again. That's a burnt bridge. That's a part of my life that's over. Never going back to that. Never going back to insurance adjusting. And then I was working with this company that was giving me these claims through an app on my phone that kind of just, I would like go and take pictures and then just send them in. And I was making a little bit of money doing that. And that was the only adjusting thing I was really doing. And then I got an opportunity to go out on a deployment back in August of 2020. And
you were already clean at this time.
I was clean. I was clean and sober. I had been toying with the idea of getting back into it, but I really wanted to go back to school. I wanted to do psychology because I felt that my calling at this point now was to be a psychologist and to help people and all this shit. And anyway, I got a opportunity to do a deployment, and I called you immediately. I was like, hey man, this is what I just got offered. I don't know what I should do. Again, reaching out to someone who's not me to get their advice and take their direction. And you were immediately like, go, fucking go. I got you. Like, I'll front you some cat, like, go. And then I was like, and I had every excuse in the book, like, I just got over a foot procedure. I was helping my girlfriend move into her place. We had just gotten a dog together. Like, there was a lot of reasons to not go, like me and my girlfriend, I think we were dating for like maybe 4 months officially, maybe 3, I was like, well, if I leave, she's going to forget about me. Like all this shit, there was a lot of reasons to not leave, and anyway, I did leave. I took your advice. I decided to, kind of take fuck it, let's see what we could do. And I kept my daily routine. I even brought on one of the little departures I did, I brought my dog with me, kept my routine of eating, kept my routine of working out, kept my routine of mostly, and I did falter on this a lot, but kept my routine of meetings and like calling the people I need to call every day. And it worked out. And now it's the only thing I do to make money is insurance adjusting. You know, this is the only thing.
If you, I'm going to ask, you don't have to answer it. How much? So you made that decision to go. You took that deployment. How much did you end up making? Any idea?
So in 6 weeks, I made roughly. Hold on, let me do because I don't know the exact number, but I made over $45,000.
45,000 in 6 weeks.
Yeah, within 6 weeks.
Okay, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. The last one I just did, I made more than that.
45, just getting back into the swing of things.
Just getting back into the swing of things. I did want to bring up, yesterday we were talking real quick. I said that I did not make 6 figures in my first year of doing adjusting, and that's true. I didn't. However, I didn't start taking claims until the middle of the year.
Technicality. Yeah.
And hold on. And when I say I didn't make 6 figures in that first year, I missed it by like $3,000. Like it was right there. It was right there.
It's
so no. I think that goes more towards the validity of your training, of the experience, of being able to say, yeah, it's 6 figures. You know what I mean? Like I think it just goes for that.
You could have definitely, if you started in the beginning, if you did just under 6 figures in the latter half of the year, yeah.
And I had stopped randomly too because your boy had a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
So anyway, get sober, get back into the swing of things. I make a good amount of money. I'm able to like pay down some debts. Kind of like get my shit together. And now it's pretty much what I'm doing for money now. I'm back into it. What I want to say, and this might be this, I don't know if this is like, even relevant, but to me it is relevant. And it kind of goes to anyone who's like saying like, well, insurance adjusting sounds boring, or, well, insurance adjusting, that's not what I went to school for. Like that's not what I wanted. It's not my thank you. It's not my dream. It's not what I want to do. I left New Jersey to pursue a career in acting and comedy. Before that, I was a spoken word poet for like 10 years, right? And before that, I was a musician. And by was a musician, I mean I played guitar in bands in people's garages, right? Now, I'm saying all this because like I thought that these were like my callings, like my dreams, my aspirations. They are things that I am absolutely interested in. I still play guitar to this day. I still, I don't really write poetry anymore, but like I write stuff, and for stand-up comedy, I have no interest in doing it anymore, but I still love watching it. I love listening to it, yada, yada, yada. Those are all interests and passions that I have that I still hold to this day. And I think that most people think that they need to pursue that their financial life and their career life has to be what their passion is. Like there has to be their calling. And there are absolutely people who get that privilege, right? Like I don't know anyone that's a teacher who doesn't at some core of their being absolutely love it. It's like a passion of theirs. They love teaching. Like they love it, I don't know anyone who is a police officer who like to their core, like they believe, and whatever you want to believe on that, they believe that what they're doing is helping people. Like they believe that, like there's this belief in them that it's like, I need to do this to make sure that my neighborhood, whatever, firefighters, same thing, ambulance, doctors, lawyers, all these people, like there's a passion there in some way, I don't have a passion for insurance adjusting. There's no passion. I'm not gonna lie. I don't wake up in the morning and go, I'm changing the fucking world today with this estimate that I write. I understand that I am helping people, like that most of the time when you do an insurance claim, especially when I go out on these deployments, especially when I was in Louisiana last year, I am meeting people at their worst, right? And I'm there to help, absolutely. And I want to be of service. I want to help people. But if I was to tell you that I get a a personal, like, tingly feeling when I write a really good estimate, I'm fucking lying to you. Like, I am lying to you 100%. I am strictly in this because the career of insurance adjusting affords me a lifestyle and affords me the way to, as you were talking about, be the support system for someone or something else. And that is very important. That, I think, that is what I've been learning about myself recently, is that, like, I don't know if I'm ever going to find something where I'm going to be able to make money with my passion or with my calling. This isn't my calling. Like, at least I don't look at it like that. Like, I don't look at it as like, like I was born on this earth to be an insurance adjuster. But it is a career path that I am very grateful for, and what it affords me to be able to do. And having that realization was very important for me a few months back.
Right. So, man, I think I started touching on at the very beginning of the podcast, but we'll wrap it up with this. Man, you to this, when we were younger, especially in your early 20s, man, you were the least disciplined person, even to this day. I mean, I don't want to say to this day that I've ever met, but you were just extremely undisciplined, right? There was no, I mean, I can't think of anything at that time other than the unhealthy habits that you had back then that you were disciplined about. That, and fast forward to today, I mean, you are undoubtedly the most disciplined person that I know, between your exercise habits, between your eating habits, and now once again with your work habits. I mean, you are the most. There's no. I understand you mentioned the relapse, but even with the relapse, as major as that might be to you, or as minor as that may be to somebody else, I mean, you still maintain this crazy discipline on there. And it's not a shock to me, and it should be a shock to no one to see the progress that you've had over these last couple of years, and to see where you started and where you are right now. So what is the future for you? Where do you see yourself going from here? And I understand that claims adjusting isn't your passion. Don't tell the followers, but claims adjusting isn't my passion either. My passion is really just help, and the reason why I started Adjuster University, I want to go down that route, is just, I like the enjoyment of doing something and seeing that it works and helping other people. The help, just like you said, the help that I get from the work itself, doing claims, I don't find enjoyment in that. In the beginning of it, I found enjoyment just figuring things out and getting good compliments, but I've gotten too many good compliments at this point. It does nothing for me. What do you want to see yourself doing? What's on the horizon for you?
My main goals right now are to number one, kind of relax on these deployments and start finding a lot more work near home. That is my biggest goal. That is, like, like, short-term goal is, like, find more work, stable work. Because again, with adjusting, the work's out there. You got to find it. But me finding stable work near home. Man, my future that I see is to continue on the path of working and bettering myself physically, emotionally, spiritually, and also just man, I feel like I am in the big picture world, I am a baby right now. I am a little tiny baby, and I am just learning that there is so much out there that I am going to be able to do and accomplish. Like, just, really small, like going and buying a house within 5 years, like that is something that, like, a year ago, if someone had been like, "Hey, have you ever thought about buying a house?" I would have just laughed at you and been like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" Like, mainly, I guess, like, to do an elevator pitch on it is to be able to experience the things that most people by my age have experienced. But I get to do it a little bit later, and I'm excited as fuck for all that. Like, I just left the country, first time, just got a passport, just left the country. I'm excited for that fucking experience. I'm excited that having two dogs that I actually care for and love and care about, even though they're fucking idiots. That's a new experience for me.
What's the best part?
Future,
What's the best part of your life right now? What would you say the best part of your life is?
The best part of my life is getting to experience this. Is getting to experience all of this sober. Like, getting to experience being in a healthy relationship. Getting to experience working hard. There's not like it's literally living this lifestyle that I have is the best part. Like, everything together is the best part of it.
That's amazing.
And also, what's that?
That's amazing. It's amazing to hear it.
Just experiencing this sober, and not through a lens of manipulation, and not through a lens of like just fucking happy to be fucking working. And I'm not just saying that is because you want to make it a hashtag. I'm saying that because, like, that is legitimately a mindset problem. Mm-hmm. Having this experience of experiencing a healthy relationship, healthy lifestyle, and a rewarding career path, as infant in its state as that might be right now, I'm fucking ecstatic. So, like, just life in general is my favorite part of life.
Well, dude, you have the mindset that I think everybody should be getting on. I mean, the mindset that you've got, I mean, that is a 6-figure mindset right there. And man, it's an honor to be your friend. It's an honor to have you on the podcast as my co-host, to be able to talk to you and everything like that. If people are, if somebody's listening to this right now, is kind of connecting with you, like, how can they find you?
You can find me Facebook, Christopher Stanley with no E. You can request me, or you can follow me on Instagram. It is a weight loss comedy Instagram, and by comedy meaning I just make fun of myself for being fat, or used to be. At Lose the Jelly, all one word. You can find me there. I post progress pictures and pictures of my dogs all the time.
Freaking awesome, man. All right, guys, that's the end of this episode. Episode 2 is in the books. Hope you guys learned a little bit about my buddy Chris Stanley. All right, guys, if you're wondering what the adjusting thing is about, we talked about it a little bit here. Go check out adjuster-university.com. That's our website. Learn how to be an independent insurance adjuster. Learn what it's about. Or don't, or just listen to us. That's kind of cool too. So we'll be coming out.
We have all the answers.
We have all the answers to all your problems. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to take our advice, and but take it with a big fat grain of salt, guys. All right, thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode where we're going to talk about yours truly. We're going to talk about me for a while.
We're going to talk about the star of the show.
That's not me. No, man, you're the star. You're the star. I just take a lot of the mic time.
That's all you, baby. It's all you.
All right, guys. Let's catch you on the next episode. Bye.
Peace.